Giddy up. The Edmonton Oilers, the trade winds are swirling. And according to David Pagnotta of the fourth period, it is Jake Walman who is going to be the newest Edmonton Oilers. So giddy on up. We are starting pre-gaming early. You're going to get 35 minutes of Tyler and Liam in the evening. And then we're going to throw it to Bordzy and Coombsy. 90 minutes of pre-game talk. And, of course, it's trade talk because we have breaking news. David Pagnotta of the fourth period tweeting it out. Initially, he had the report, and it sounds like Elliot Friedman is on it as well. The Edmonton Oilers and San Jose Sharks linking up in a move that will send Jake Walman to the Edmonton Oilers. Again, nothing finalized yet. This is all reports right now, but it sounds like Jake Walman is going to be the newest member of the Oilers. You're probably going to get me repeating myself a few times here as we welcome more and more people into the stream, but I'll be honest, and I'm waiting here when Liam pops on. I'll bring in my boy Liam too. Liam and I talked about him today, and I think we've both been very, very high. Liam, bring him in. Bring him in. I want to see my boy. This is his guy, Liam. We talked about Jake Walman today. We both said he's a guy we would love to see in blue and orange. And hey, if you ever needed more proof that Stan Bowman watches the show, come on.
Yeah, this is a good trade for the Oilers. Obviously, like you said, one we spoke about for a while. I think even dating back to when the Oilers first played San Jose. What was that, before Christmas? Spoke about Jake Walman being a good option. He just seems to make other players better. So I'm a big fan of him. I'm very curious to see what this return is. I honestly have no idea. I know you kind of speculate like maybe a first is in this. Is cap retained? Does that keep it lower if it isn't retained? The one thing we know is if the Oilers, if this becomes official, which David Pagnotta, obviously a good reporter, then Evander Kane isn't coming back to the playoffs, which is a huge thing. And to me, that also suggests that Stan Bowman probably isn't done because what's Jake Walman? I think 3.4 million or whatever that is. So yeah, it's this is a huge move for Edmonton. Someone who obviously wasn't on many trade boards, and I think many assume maybe isn't available. But also credit to Mike Greer. Get in Jake Walman for future considerations, and then whatever this return is going to be, it's credit to him. He's done a decent job there in San Jose. But yeah, what an addition he would be for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, let me give everybody who's just tuning in sort of the Coles Notes breakdown on who Jake Walman is. 6'1", 218-pound defenseman who is 29 years old. The contract details obviously very, very important this time of year. $3.4 million this year and next season. So if the Oilers do end up parting with, say, the 2026 first-round pick, something you and I talked about a lot, Liam, is if you're giving up that pick, it has to be a guy who a year from now you can point at and say, you know what, we don't have a pick at the 2026 deadline that we can use, but we have this guy helping our team right now. So I love the fact that Walman comes with term. I love the fact he's $3.4 million as well. He comes with not a ton of size, but 6'1", 218 is definitely respectable. Walman, after starting his career in St. Louis, really broke out as a member of the Detroit Red Wings the last couple of seasons, was playing top pairing minutes with the Red Wings next to Moritz Seider, and the two of them had a lot of success. Seider really grew with Walman as his partner this season so far with San Jose. Walman has continued to be productive, and it's basically all even strength points as well. He is tied for 19th amongst NHL defensemen in even strength points this season. That is tied with the likes of Dougie Hamilton. That's more tied with Hamilton, Shabbat, Chychrun, Pionk. That's more 5-on-5 points than guys like Hanifin, Pietrangelo, Brandon Montour, Mikhail Sergachev. He comes in and is instantly a guy who changes Edmonton's blue line, Liam.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's a really, really good addition. He can play. I think he has a natural left shot, right?
Natural left shot, but has spent the bulk of this season on the right side.
Yeah, and that's the same when he was in Detroit too. So yeah, this is a good addition. Again, we're still waiting for what the return is, but obviously you can assume he can go up and play with Darnell Nurse on that second pairing. He's also a guy that has logged big minutes over the last couple of years as well with both San Jose and what was his other team, the Detroit Red Wings. So again, like if you look at, obviously tonight it's a bit of a drastic situation with both Ekholm and Klingberg out, but like just looking down the road, if this was to happen again, you have another guy who can play legit top 4 minutes, who put it in there, based Ivy, minute muncher, exactly what Jake Walman is capable of doing. This is an exciting player, and I'm sure he'll be a big addition to the penalty kill as well, which is very needed at points.
Yeah, so Jake Walman averages actually a decent amount of penalty kill time, 133 minutes in 49 games so far this season. So he's a guy who can penalty kill. I mean, again, I'm not going to sit here and bullshit anyone and tell them that I've watched a lot of Jake Walman on the penalty kill, but just looking at the charts, looking at the numbers, he's an above average penalty killer. Maybe not truly elite or anything like that, but he's going to come in and be able to help this team on the PK. And Liam, I mean, we had Tyler Ennis on today, and we were talking about what is the archetype of defenseman that you think works best with Darnell Nurse. We've seen him with a guy like Tyson Barrie, and he had some amount of success. The two of them were the Oilers' top pairing and went to the conference finals. Barrie was a puck mover. Nurse's numbers take a nosedive with Cody Ceci, a guy who doesn't move the puck well. When did Darnell Nurse play his best hockey in the playoffs? With Philip Broberg on his side, a puck mover. So I think Jake Walman is the exact type of defenseman that the Oilers needed. I think this is a guy who's going to absolutely bring out the best in Darnell Nurse. And again, 23 minutes a night on the San Jose Sharks and only a -1. I'm, plus minus, call it archaic, whatever. That in a vacuum to play 23 minutes a night on a team that is by far the worst team in the NHL as a top pairing defenseman and be -1, crazy respectable.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny, isn't it? Because Rasmus Ristolainen has been someone people have thrown the Oilers' way, and he's just like the complete opposite. I know it was a few years ago when he was in Buffalo, but to be a -44 when the next guy is -20, it just tells you the kind of player they've become in that stage. And this is obviously a positive side of it for Jake Walman. So yeah, I'm excited. A lot of people obviously know him for the gritty celebration here. Tyler, a fellow grittier, you're probably very excited to have him in town. You want to give us a whirl?
If I could possibly stand up in this incredibly tight setup that I have in my basement studio, I would. Yeah, just again, I'm reading some of the reaction to this online. Let's talk potential return, Liam, because that's always a fun game to play when we're doing this and we're trying to figure out what they could or couldn't be given up. Lance, we appreciate your super chat saying cup year. This is the kind of move that gets me juiced up and excited. If it is the 2026 first and nothing else, I am willing to call this a massive, massive dub for the Edmonton Oilers, especially when you consider, take a look at the deals we saw today, Liam. Brian Dumoulin goes for a second-round pick. He is older. He is worse. He does not move the puck as well, and he's a rental with no term on his contract. If you had to go and give up a first-round pick, it might seem steep, but I'm telling you, it is a good deal for this team to be making.
I agree. I think so. And obviously the extra year on his deal may help things as well. And prospects involved, I wouldn't expect to see O'Reilly or Akey unless it's already come out. I know someone just threw that in the chat, but I would assume it's not. I don't think it'll be any of those guys. At most, I could see Petrov, maybe someone like that. Maybe they have one of those unsigned guys again in Russia that they want to give off. Also, one of the European guys they have. I don't think they have any other like legit college prospects right now that they have unsigned. Obviously, Matt Capone, I think he's at BU or BC this year, 7th round pick. I don't see him holding much value in this, but again, like I think whatever prospect they give away in this, if there is one, as long as it's not one of obviously Akey or Savoy or O'Reilly, I think the Oilers did a good job in this.
Here's what Jay Fresh has on Jake Walman. He has him as an 83% defenseman, which is very good. He said he's an offensive defenseman, has a big point shot, loves to use it, good puck mover with a nice stretch pass, can be a bit turnover prone, not particularly physical, has had an impressive season, all things considered, as San Jose's #1 defenseman. Jason Greger had our good friend Drew Remenda on his show to talk about it. And here's what Remenda had to say. He said he's been their best defenseman all year. He has improved his play. He gets back to pucks quicker than he did before. He can PK, was on the power play, has a bomb of a shot. He is physical, blocks shots, and has really improved his play, Remenda reiterates. So, again, we'll see what the cost is. Like, if it goes from a first to being a first plus O'Reilly, then I change my tune a little bit, and I go, you probably gave up too much. If it's a first and Akey, I'm wincing a little bit, but I think I'm still maybe going like, that's okay for me because you're getting a guy who's going to help for multiple years. If it's a first and a mid-round pick, I think this is a great deal for Stan Bowman. But again, not only are we waiting on the return, we're waiting on this deal to be official. So if you're just tuning in, we're dealing with early reports from both David Pagnotta and Elliot Friedman that the Edmonton Oilers have acquired Jake Walman from the San Jose Sharks. Again, maybe a guy not a lot of you are overly familiar with. 29-year-old defenseman. He actually just turned 29 about 2 weeks ago. 6'1", 218-pound left shot defenseman that can play the right side of the ice. And that is the big one here, Liam. You know, we've talked before about you can get a lefty and just move Brett Kulak over, and Brett Kulak's looked good, and he's done that for a lot of time this year. I also think there's no denying that Brett Kulak and Ty Emberson are a much better duo, and Brett Kulak's much more comfortable on the left side of things. So again, I think this is we don't know the return yet, so we can't call it a slam dunk win yet, but just purely on the fit, I really, really like this move by the Edmonton Oilers.
It just helps shift everyone down, like you said. Like the Kulak and Emberson on a third pair is just much better. Like I think Kulak obviously getting a ton of praise recently, and rightfully so. He's played fantastically, but he had a tough night the other day against the Anaheim Ducks when he was pushed up the lineup just too far. You know, they played him too much in the top four and asked him to do a little bit too much. So just Walman able to balance things out. And again, like if you do face a circumstance or you don't have an Ekholm or a Darnell Nurse in the lineup, it can just help things out very, very easily. I was kind of looking and I couldn't find the exact stat that I found earlier in the season, but Walman played a lot with Cody Ceci when Ceci was in San Jose, and the numbers for Walman, for Ceci without Walman, just like drop off so quickly. It just shows the kind of level of defenseman he actually is. Like on the ice with Ceci, they were over a 50% goal share. Without Walman for Ceci, they were down at 34. And I know San Jose isn't exactly like filled with all these great defensemen, absolutely, but he really, it can be a game changer when push comes to shove.
All right, a couple more things just as some people's takes online start coming in on this. Dom Lucision, who is the analytics guru over at The Athletic, says Jake Walman has been a bright spot for the Sharks this year. A bit of a surprise to see him move, but a great get for the Edmonton Oilers. His projected rating will be a lot lower without his power play time, obviously, but this is a very solid second pair guy who could potentially crush third pair minutes. And I think he's going to be the second pair guy on the Oilers. I think him and Darnell Nurse are a very, very good match. And again, Liam, this is something and a guy we've been talking about now on the show, Oilers Nation Every Day, for a couple of months now. And we spoke about him again today as we were doing the Mario Ferraro thing, and his name started to get more and more out there. It was like, Ferraro seems like a guy who would fit, but Jake Walman, just because of his ability to flip and play the right side, his puck moving ability, and how good that could fit with Darnell Nurse, I really, really like the idea of Jake Walman. You know whose take we should get on this? Jason Demers.
Yeah,
I'm going to text him.
Probably a good guy to ask. He has come on and obviously, I believe, said positive. I think he said like it seemed unlikely they were going to move. That was, I believe, before the Four Nations as well. I'm not trying to call him out on it, but it just shows the valuable piece San Jose probably thought he was, and evidently still do. If I'm assuming the value is going to be good back for him. So I wonder. Obviously, are the Oilers going to get someone else in this deal too? Like, do you think there is a forward? Like, obviously, Luke Cunningham was someone who Jason Demers said to us before, $2.75 million cap hit. San Jose also doesn't have any salary cap retention spots, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like, I was lucky they don't have a lot of guys. Obviously, as our UFAs, RFAs. Do you think Zetterlund, or is that too much?
I like the way he says his name. He goes, Fabian Zetterlund.
Yeah.
That's not connected to anything. But people, okay, well, let's talk about the numbers side of this thing a little bit, because someone said who's got to go out the door for this to work. So again, Jake Walman coming to the Edmonton Oilers, potentially, that's the rumors right now, $3.4 million and one more year on the deal. When you load up Edmonton's Puckpedia page, $3.7 million is their current cap space with Evander Kane on LTIR. So I think the Oily accountant you just dropped in the chat said this clearly means Kane is 100% staying then, right? It means Evander Kane is either getting traded or he's out till the playoffs, and I don't think they're trading him. I think they're going to, again, you would have just had the Kane trade ready to go already, and this would have been bang, bang, done. So If Jake Walman is being told he's coming to Edmonton and Evander Kane is still an Oiler, I think you can assume Kane will be out until the playoffs.
And we can also assume Kane is definitely not in this deal back to San Jose.
Why?
And a layer of this, if this isn't Kane not coming back until the playoffs, then you would have to assume Jeff Skinner is out of the door one way or another. I would think, and obviously I'm just purely speculating, but spoke about this earlier too, like a guy who has now been healthy scratched 8 times, not fitting in the plans. He's a left shot. Trent Frederick is a left shot. Evander Kane is a left shot. Like, you have to wonder if it's getting to a point by tomorrow at the trade deadline, which would have less than 24 hours away, obviously, probably, 19, 18, something like that. You would have to think that Jeff Skinner might waive his clause, no?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm really.
I don't know either. It's the Skinner thing has been such an interesting thing in this, but like Sergeant Battle said too, like Skinner being scratched for Max Jones is crazy on just a variety of levels. Obviously, the fan base thinks he's more valuable than the Oilers claim he is, but also it's crazy to think that Jeff Skinner hasn't played up to a standard that Max Jones is taking his spot for the night.
Yeah. So again, we have not heard, and just to the people in the chat who are getting a little bit worked up, we have heard absolutely nothing about the return. All we've got, I shouldn't say absolutely nothing. Peg Notice said whispers of a first-round pick, but someone said, again, hopefully it's not Matt Savoy. I'm telling you, they did not give up Matt Savoy for Jake Walman. That would be an incredibly dumb thing to do, and I don't think they're going to do that. I really do believe this should be as simple as a 2026 first-round pick, maybe a mid-range asset as well, but again, even anything more than the 2026 first would really surprise me in this deal. And assuming Kane can stay on LTIR the rest of the year, the Oilers have the money to make this thing work. So it honestly, considering the fact, so $3.7 million in deadline cap space. That's with 8 D-men on their roster, 2 goalies and 13 forwards, Liam. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 13 forwards. So when they activate Trent Frederick from IR, they're going to send someone down, presumably Max Jones. That'll free up a little bit of space there. And then when you bring on, assuming, again, this deal gets done and all the reports are correct, Walman comes in, and then you would take Dineen and potentially another name off your roster, then you're sitting there with still enough money to go add another depth forward if you wanted to.
Yeah, like probably we kind of saw this last year, right? When they went out, or the year before. Was it last year? Yeah, when they got Troy Stetcher kind of later on, right? Someone who just a bit of added insurance. I would like them to actually aim for someone who could play on the roster in a forward spot. I'm not sure exactly who that would be off the top of my head, but someone who can play third, fourth line, like guess an equivalent to Max Jones if you're just looking for a little bit more than that. Ryder says in the chat there, give me Donato. I don't know if the others would have the assets now to potentially trade in their first and a second round pick, but hey, if you want to go all in, and Ryan Donato's not a bad option by any means. But John Klingberg, obviously no movement clause if they wanted to get a little bit more money out the door. But I really do believe the Oilers are pushing to get as much depth as they can. Obviously, we saw it the other day with Travis Dermott making a return back. They obviously have Josh Brown in Bakersfield too. They clearly have some value in Cam Denis playing at the NHL level. And I feel like I'm missing Derek Ryan, of course, Noah Philp, a couple of guys as well played in the league. So I think they might just want to keep growing that depth, but also too, Chris Knobloch as stays, like they're struggling to score goals right now from their lower end guys. So there's a few options they could go, but I don't think this Walman deal is the final move Stan Bowman will make.
I'm less confident in that. I really do think a forward and a defenseman might be all we see from the Edmonton Oilers, and part of the reason why they're maybe calling up Max Jones and starting to give him games already might just be because they kind of know they're not doing anything else. I know you just mentioned, maybe a Fabian Zetterlund to get them some more scoring. They could certainly afford him and fit him in. Outside of that, I don't know how much more there really is on the San Jose Sharks that I like. I mean, hey, listen, not to get too crazy, if you're putting guys on waivers, Kapanen and eventually Jones as you acquire guys, you do technically have the money for Klim Kostin.
I was just gonna say, do we bring back Klim Shady? Vinny would be pissed. Just getting traded. You know, I saw that yesterday. I saw that trade yesterday, obviously, and I thought to myself, so you know what, like, if Pittsburgh at the time, obviously this isn't happening because the trade happened, was like, hey, Edmonton, would you take back Vincent Desharnais and we'll keep 50% of his contract, give us a 4th round pick? 100%. I actually value Vinny a lot. I think he was a bit underappreciated in Vancouver. It can be difficult to go to a market and win them over, especially when you come to such like a big rival team. But yeah, Vinny would be someone I would welcome back. Klim, hey, he was a good Oiler for that one season. Obviously, shouldn't say I think. We're pretty certain that he regrets moving on from Edmonton and would love to come back and play here. I think he would pay half his salary, to be honest, to come back and play in Edmonton. So it wouldn't be a bad addition. I just don't see it as a realistic option, unfortunately.
Still just kind of
sorry, just one thing. Ty Dellandrea, does he tickle anything for you? Right shot centerman, 24 years old, 1.3 million with 1 more year left on his deal too.
I don't think so. I don't really know enough about the player. Like, I'll be honest, all I'm doing right now as you bring up his name is I'm going to Natural Stat Trick and seeing if he can kill penalties. Dellandrea, hey, well, he was a pretty highly regarded
first round pick.
Yeah, first round pick of the Dallas Stars, who the Sharks ended up getting for a prayer. I could honestly, I would assume the Sharks want to hold on to a guy like that. He scored 1 goal in 513 minutes this year at 5-on-5. And he kills about a minute of penalties a game. I'm probably good on that. I mean,
I guess you can just call up Noah Philp and say 500,000 or whatever the difference is.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Ty Dellandrea really doesn't do it for me. Well, yeah, 1 goal in 49 games. There's yeah, I'm good. Okay, what else do we got going on in the chat? Mike Greer doing us a solid. Once an Oiler, always an Oiler. Again, I'm not overly concerned about what the potential return could be here, Liam, but I don't think this is going to be like, wow, Oilers robbed him kind of thing, but I think this will be a fair deal if it ends up being a 1st round pick. If there's anything more added onto it, then I'll start to maybe raise an eyebrow to this whole return. Again, if you're just joining the chat here, the title does kind of say it all, but reports are swirling that the Edmonton Oilers have acquired Jake Walman from the San Jose Sharks. He has 1 more year on his deal after this one and comes with a cap hit of $3.4 million. A guy who's been handling top pairing minutes for the San Jose Sharks so far this season, can kill penalties as well, plays a little bit on the power play. Obviously, that would likely go away here in Edmonton, but a guy whose strengths are definitely moving the puck and playing that sort of up-tempo style of game. The downside to him, maybe not as physical as some people would have liked the Oilers' top defensive addition this year to be. But again, I think this return isn't going to upset a whole lot of people. I love everybody in the chat just throwing in random stuff as well.
Awesome. I was out of curiosity because someone just threw it in there. Jay Gonzalez. Do you think this trade helps the goaltenders play better in Edmonton? One thing that obviously Walman is good at is blocking shots. I just went back and locked. And also too, like, just to preface, like, when you play on a team like San Jose, you're blocking more shots than you would on the Edmonton Oilers because you never have the puck. We obviously saw that when the Oilers played San Jose earlier this season. Jake Walman has 111 blocked shots so far this season. Tyler mentioned it earlier. He is -1 on the season, which when you play on San Jose, that number is pretty impressive. 32 points, 56 games. I think he will help them. Again, you're not going to have to play a Troy Stetcher or a Klingberg or even push Emberson into a top 4 role on a regular basis. Maybe every now and then they get caught out there for sure. That's just the way the game is. But yes, I think Jake Walman will come in and help out massively on this team. So 111th, that would put him like top 35 in the league, somewhere around there.
All right. NHL Sid has dropped in his take. Liam, there's nothing I love more than when a trade gets made and I'm just looking at the charts. I'm like, I've barely watched Jake Walman this year. I know generally the kind of player he is. Again, we see him a little bit in San Jose, but I'm just all about reading the charts right now. Walman from NHL Sid is a solid 2-way defenseman with strong puck moving skills, an excellent shot, the ability to play both sides, and this might be important, a lot of experience against elite competition. He's had an excellent season on an awful team rush defending is a weakness, though. But again, maybe that's one thing that worries me about a potential fit with Darnell Nurse then, is that Darnell Nurse has a tendency to make some really, really bad pinches, and his partner usually has to defend on the rush quite a little bit. So if there's one downside to it, it's that. Again, not overly physical, but I'm not too worried about that. Again, a good puck mover with Darnell Nurse. We've been having this conversation for months, Liam. As much as everybody wants the big shutdown defenseman, and I liked the idea of Alexiak, but again, Alexiak probably would have been more like a lefty who you're then moving Kulak to the right side to play with Nurse, and it's Alexiak and Emberson. Like, I do think Walman just fits a little bit better into what the Oilers need on this blue line.
I do too. Can probably move the puck a little bit better than what Alexiak could as well. So that's a bonus for Edmonton. Obviously, when the forwards have the puck, these forwards the Oilers have need to get the puck a lot quicker than maybe some players would have got it to them. So yeah, I think he's a good fit. Still 28 years old too, like prime of his career, I guess we can call it. But yeah, that's a lot of blue on that chart. And as we've discussed many times, blue is good, red is bad. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, so we're seeing, again, Liam, let's do Tyler and Liam analytics on this. There's one.
Yes.
Can you flash that back up, Brett? I want to see it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 8 things on the board. 6 of them are blue, 2 are red. Jake Walman is a 6-2 positive player. All right, I'm in.
And also two dark blue, which very big. Seems important. I think a lot of people would agree in the chat. 99% on finishing, and the competition. 99% competition is pretty impressive too, to be honest.
Yeah, he basically plays tougher minutes than any other defenseman in the NHL, partially because he plays on the San Jose Sharks.
Yeah, pretty much. Someone put in something in the chat just there too. What does this do to Alec Regula's minutes? Well, more private skates, I guess. Where is that man? We'll never know. He's the Ryan Murray of this team.
My back's fine. No, it's not. You gotta sit out, man. Your back is not okay.
There's a Stephen Ellis is in on the conversation.
Oh fuck yeah! Give me a little Stephen Ellis.
Okay, here it is. Oilers fans are going to really like Jake Walman. Period. There you go.
There you go.
That's what we're asking
Stephen
for.
Ellis.
Yeah, that's I'm happy with this deal. Obviously, we don't know what the deal is yet, but like the fact the Oilers went out, Bruce Kurlock also giving it, Jake Walman 3 check marks. So that's a lot of people seem to be enjoying this trade. Again, we'll see what the deal is. We have no idea yet. We're assuming again that it's a first round pick in the deal, which again is fine because Walman still a bit of term on his deal. So you're still keeping him on your roster. So I'm happy with it. We'll see. Hopefully they don't give up Aki or O'Reilly.
Yep. Again, if you're worried about Matt Savoy, I really wouldn't lose. I wouldn't be too worried about that. Again, if they're giving up a prospect, I feel like Bo Aki is a guy who would make sense in this deal. But I also think a first round pick is probably more than enough to get this trade done. Someone says Walman better play tonight. Yeah, get this guy to Edmonton. Cam Dineen's all fired up. He's like, finally, I'm back in the first time in 3 years. Cam Dineen's going to get in an NHL game. Boom. 10 minutes before anthems, Jake Walman's through the door.
Yeah, that'd be a tough one for Cam Dineen, but hopefully he does okay tonight. I don't need a lot from Cam Dineen. I just need him to be on the ice.
Yeah. Do you think there's any chance John Klingberg's going back the other way and that's why he's not playing tonight?
Yes, I do think there's a chance, and I would not be upset if there was. Yeah. Just like it's really too bad for like the story and the player itself. Like obviously John Klingberg, I'm speculating again that he might be in this deal, has had a fantastic career, and the last few years have obviously just not gone his way, not taking the money in Dallas, and then trips in Anaheim, Minnesota, Toronto, and now Edmonton. Like too bad for him, but hey, maybe going to a place like San Jose wouldn't be such a bad thing too, just to get away from it, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are going to give way in about 6 minutes here to the back to your regularly scheduled Oilers Nation programming. Aaron Bordato and Coombsy got pregaming with Bordzy coming up in a few minutes left. Liam, let's take one from the chat here. It came in on Twitter. It was Dylan who said, do you think they're done after this? If you needed to take a best guess on this bad boy, do you think the Edmonton Oilers are done? Or do you think Stan Bowman has one more move up his sleeve?
I don't think they're done. I don't think they can be done, but I don't know what it is. I think they might get a depth forward. I know there's like, obviously goaltending is a conversation. I think they might maybe get a third string goalie, which obviously is not going to impress many people. When it's like there's a goalie trading them and saying, and it's not John Gibson. But I could see them maybe going out and doing that. But they're in a very interesting spot because again, like they could call up Derek Ryan or Noah Philp and play 4C for them, both right shots and both capable of playing it in the NHL, especially Derek Ryan, a lot of experience, and it's not going to. Are we good?
Frank Saravalli.
Here we go.
Sounds like the Edmonton Oilers have some roster constraint issues tonight. In quotes, tonight's lineup was an adventure, and rosters expand after midnight tonight. So Edmonton is on their way to completing a deal to acquire Jake Walman, but may be some time before they can complete or announce it. So basically, the fact everybody's sick on the Oilers and they had to call a bunch of people up means they can't announce this deal officially until tomorrow.
Which is fine. What does it matter? You know?
Yeah.
Stephen Ellis is now in our chat. So that's big.
Stephen Ellis says, Walman is super skilled, defensively questionable at times, but if you pair him with someone who can clean up the mess, he can absolutely thrive. You know what? I'm really intrigued at the idea of, Liam. Let's get crazy. Are you ready?
Walman and Ekholm.
Bingo. Wow. That's why we work well together. I lob him up, you knock him down. Boom.
Well, like that
Nurse and Bouchard have really, really good numbers together. And if Walman's best with a mess cleaner upper, Ekholm is a mess cleaner upper.
I think too, Ekholm obviously is not playing tonight because he's sick. I just wonder if it would help him just for a little bit to move him around. And also maybe Ekholm and Walman can take tougher minutes. Like maybe that is your top pair. Like obviously we're assuming, well, my first assumption is before I said that was like Nurse would just bump up, but like maybe Walman and Ekholm are your minute crunchers, and then you have Nurse and Bouchard, of course. Or maybe Bouch and Kulak.
Nah, I don't like flipping them over. I like Kulak and Emerson as my third pair.
Interesting. Flipping
who
over?
Pardon?
You said flip him.
Kulak?
You said flip him.
I would not flip Brett Kulak. I like him on the left side.
I could have sworn you said that. Flip Jan Marco. Thanks, my son.
Someone says, who's Jake Walman? Let me give it to everybody one more time. 28-year-old left-handed defenseman who can play the right side of the ice, has one more year on his deal at $3.4 million. He can kill penalties. He's not an overly physical player, but where he thrives is moving the puck. He is a skilled player. So there you go. The Edmonton Oilers have made a splash. The latest update is from our insider, Frank Saravalli, who says, sounds like the Oilers have some roster constraint issues. Tonight's lineup was an adventure, and rosters expand after midnight tonight. So Edmonton is on their way to completing a deal to acquire Walman, but maybe sometime before they can complete or announce it. Rosters expand at 10 p.m. Mountain Time tonight. So again, if you're waiting, I would assume, Liam, we will find out the return before then. Someone will leak that and get that out, although the Oilers have been pretty tight-lipped about some things this year.
They certainly have been. NMCs.
Yeah, but I bet you we find out the return in the next hour or so.
Can you explain for people who maybe don't fully understand that tweet from Frank and your co-host and like the expansion of rosters?
No, I really can't explain it.
Awesome. Thanks for watching, everyone.
I think it's just because like that's when a new cap day would hit.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. It's kind of like waivers.
Yeah, maybe. I think that. Yeah, let's go with that.
Sure.
We're the experts.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there you go. This is exciting. A good move by Edmonton. Again, I don't think the Oilers are done. I think they've got one more move in them. A lot of people, Bob Stauffer, Jason Gregor have said is I think they'll make 3, and that doesn't necessarily mean like bring in 3 players. I think 3 separate moves. So maybe that's shipping someone out too. But I'm excited for tomorrow. This is a good deal. Good week so far for Bowman, I think.
With their current roster, once you send down Cam Dineen and Max Jones, with the Edmonton Oilers' current roster, they would have 13 forwards, 8 defensemen, including Walman, no Deneen, no Jones, and they would have $1.95 million of cap space, assuming Kane again is out for the rest of the year. So there is space if the Oilers wanted to make one more ad. They certainly could. Let's end it with a super chat from Bob Stauffer. Kulak and Bush look great and confident together in the past. Kulak could calm him down and they move the puck faster. Give me Eck and Walman. So there you go. $6.99 to the Ben Stelter Foundation. Thank you, Bob. That is a wrap for Liam and I's little live breakdown of the trade. But do not go anywhere. You don't even need to leave this stream. Let's throw it up to Pregaming with Bordzy. Producer Brett Holden did a bang-up job today. I also want to give him a shout-out. He got this whole thing looking great and running very, very quick. Everybody in the chat, you were great. Daily Face-Off Trade Deadline Special tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I'll chat with you all then. In the meantime, enjoy Pregaming with Bordzy.
Woo! Jake Walman, you are an Edmonton Oiler. Woo! Hello and welcome to Pregaming with Bordzy, Pregaming with Walsey, as the Edmonton Oilers, you just heard from our pal Tyler Remchuk and Liam Horrobin. Jake Walman, you are officially an Edmonton Oiler. Hello and welcome to Pregaming with Bordzy. Also, hello, what up and welcome. Vibes are immaculate right now because we're allowed to be super optimistic until we know what the return will be. We were just told it may be around 10 p.m. We find out, might even be tomorrow. Who knows? But hello and welcome. Pregaming with Bordzy, brought to you by Sherwood Ford the Giant, and it's also a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today and use the promo code NATION, because whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I'm out of breath from grittying. Shout out to Jake Walman. Just give me the clip of him grittying, Brett. We already got it ready to go. We've been sitting back here. Shout out to Brett. Shout out the whole ON team for being ready to rock. But this is just a thing of beauty, and the celebration even better. I'm about to be grittying so much for the next 2 months of the NHL season. Shout out Jake Walman. In a wild day of NHL trades, the Edmonton Oilers just had to get in on the action, acquiring defenseman Jake Walman from the San Jose Sharks. Allegedly, reportedly, as we still do not know the exact return. Who knows? That's why I said we can be optimistic. I'm joined all evening long. You're pre-gaming with Bordzy, pre-gaming with Walsey, you're pre-gaming with Coombsy as well. Cam Lewis, how we doing? Did you expect to be walking into this news when you came into the office a couple 30 minutes ago?
I did, because I saw the news on my phone slightly before I walked into the office. So technically, yes, but I didn't expect to see it on my phone when I stopped my vehicle and parked it outside. I didn't expect to see it at all. I actually thought, when you look at the San Jose Sharks, and I'll be honest, that's not something I do very often. I don't spend my time looking at what the San Jose Sharks have going on. They're a rebuilding team. They're awful. There's not much to know more beyond that. But I thought if you had like 3 or 4 guys on the Sharks, it'd be like Will Smith, Macklin, Celebrini, and Jake Walman would probably be up there in the top 3 or 4 or 5 guys you'd think they were keeping around long term. Leads the team in ice time per game, plays all their tough minutes, pretty young, still 1 year left on his contract, not particularly expensive. So unless this is some mammoth, huge return the Oilers are giving up, which I don't know how it would be because they don't have that many draft picks or prospects. So I don't know what's going on here, but Jake Walman was once acquired for future consideration. So maybe the Oilers are just getting him for future considerations as well. Maybe just Mike Greer being a cool guy. Once an Oiler, always an Edmonton Oiler. Brad, hit it for me as well, because we got a beautiful, beautiful photo of Mike Greer just slamming that pizza back, baby. That's a good man right there. Once again, we do not know the return yet for Jake Walman to the Edmonton Oilers. Let's get caught up in the chat, because I've been able to sit in the backstage helping Brad out, bring some stuff in, and just watch this chat go down. I love this chat more than anything. Lance, it was already mentioned, but he threw in $2 and says, cut yeah, because it's a Jake Walman year. Red Kryptonite, great ad, but sounds like a big price. It was reported from one David Pagnotta from the 4th period. Expected to be a first-round pick once again. If you are just joining here, the Edmonton Oilers, we will not exactly know the return. Rosters expand after 10 p.m. later this evening with the NHL trade deadline coming up tomorrow. Which, you know what? Let's just do it right now. You should tune in to the Daily Face-Off YouTube channel tomorrow from 11 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time.
to 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We're going to even go over this. We do it every single year. This show has been stressing me out building this thing behind the scenes for the last 3 weeks, but it looks good. It's ready to go. My only concern, everybody stop making trades because I'd like you to do it live on the air tomorrow when we are going for 6 hours. A lot of people in here, do guys said, as long as we don't trade Bordzy, because everybody wants to know the return. Don't worry, brother. I ain't going anywhere.
You're going to start talking about the San Jose Sharks night in, night out. Can you imagine? Wow.
That'd be terrible. That'd be absolutely awful. Ben Gleason's in. Could be the real guy. Who knows? Honestly, crazy that the Sharks received a second rounder to take on Walman and are getting a first rounder for him a year later. Yeah, this past summer, the Yzer plan didn't go the way that he thought it was going to go. He shipped out Jake Walman and a second rounder for future considerations, which means dick all, in an effort that they thought they were going to sign Steven Stamkos. Did not go that way. An ugly, ugly one for Stevie Yzerman. Now, did he do all these super chats? I think these are for me. Also love Sergeant Battle. We want Bordzy and Based Ivy. This made me laugh so hard. No, Tyler Remchuk, first on the scene. He knows what he's doing. I ain't little broing anybody, but Bob Stoffer's in. $6.99 says Kulak and Bush looked great and confident together in the past. Kulak could really calm him down, and they moved the puck faster. Eck and Walman. Ty and Liam were both just discussing that as well. Mistaken Mexican, $10 says that opening was great. Walman ensures this is a cup year. Cup year. Rocky's in and says, where's the parade going to be? Knock on wood, you sick son of a Mr. Burns. Says the moment I put on my brand new ON La Bamba Mentality t-shirt, the Walman tweets came up on my phone. Coincidence? Or a cup year? Cup year. You're damn right. Love you, Mr. Burns. Love each and every one of you in this chat. Now, Coombsy, I'll give you the floor here. Your initial reactions, I keep saying it. We don't know what the return is, so we can be as happy and optimistic as we want to be right here. But thoughts on Jake Walman becoming an Edmonton Oiler?
Yeah, without knowing the return, like you just said, it's tough to sit here and talk about it. But we're in that window right now where it's not really about what they gave up. It's just about the player they got. We're in that. We'll probably have an extended version of this window. Usually it's about 10, 15, 20 minutes. You don't know what you gave up. You can be like, oh, yeah, we got this guy and obsess over it. But we should have all evening for this to just talk about Jake Walman. I mean, like I said before, this is a player I didn't expect San Jose to go ahead and trade. There's a lot of different options the Oilers can use with him in their lineup because he's someone that does quite a few things well, and he also plays both sides. So I would imagine that over the next month and a half, leading into the playoffs, we see Jake Walman play in a variety of situations.
John Klingberg experiment over. Jake Walman, you get in there and you take that spot. But Walman, right, 28, 29-year-old defenseman. He's got 6 goals, 32 points in 50 games played with the San Jose Sharks this season. Dead last in the NHL, San Jose Sharks this season. The craziest, and looking at this, is -1 in 50 games on the Sharks while averaging 23 minutes and 11 seconds per night. He's known for his puck-moving ability, more offensive than your typical shut-down defenseman, right? But he's been a very good bright spot. Here you get some look at his numbers. I love that Tyler said, I don't really know what these charts mean. I know that blue is good, and I see a lot more blue than red on there. Also 99% finishing. I'll leave the joke to the rest of you to make out there as well, just like let's go. But Jake Walman, he had dealt with some injuries earlier this season, but he's also been a staple on my fantasy team since coming back from this, so I'm very excited for that one. Brett, coming for the throne this season in the Oilers Nation Fantasy League.
Pat won. It was a finals between the two producers, and Pat won it, so didn't have to rub it in my face, but that's fine.
There you go. But as you mentioned there, he's been playing the left side on the number 1 pair for the San Jose Sharks. He also shoots left, but it was said earlier here from Drew Remenda, there was a tweet, and he said he has been their best defenseman all year. He has improved his play. He gets back to pucks quicker than he did before. He can PK. He was on the power play and has a bomb of a shot. He is physical, block shots, has really improved his play. He did also say he can play the right side, but he is better on the left. I'm curious, Coombsy. It's eye in the sky time here as well. Where would you expect Jake Walman? Is it as simple as flipping him over to the right side, playing with Darnell Nurse? We hear it there. He can do it. Or what do you think, at least first game Jake Walman, where would you put him in the lineup?
That's interesting. I think there's a lot of different things they could do here. He's kind of, I'm not going to say he's similar to Evan Bouchard in that they're going to be the same thing, but they're sort of the same idea, right? The same idea of as a player that's more offensively oriented, puck mover, wants to have the puck between the two partners, is going to be the one that's in control there and needs to be with a line mate like how Evan Bouchard plays with Matthias Ekholm, who can kind of handle mistakes, play back, be in front of the net, do things like that. So, I mean, Matthias Ekholm might make sense as a partner, but I don't know if I see Evan Bouchard moving off his side. I actually wonder about using him with Ty Emberson and playing him on his natural left side and then moving Brett Kulak over to his right with Darnell Nurse, which is actually something we've talked about a few times, where they played Kulak and Nurse together early in the season, and we talked, well, if they're comfortable with Kulak on the right side, then they can go out and get a lefty D-man rather than limiting themselves to only getting a right-handed D-man. So that's a possibility, I think. I don't know if we're actually going to see it, but I've been an advocate for Kulak and Nurse.
We know how I feel about Brett Kulak. You can ask him to do anything. Just flip him, as our fearless leader, Jay Downton, would say. But I laugh because I've been saying this for months, said at the beginning of the year, should we just consistently try to put Brett Kulak on that side? Because we've had this search for a top 4 right D. What if it's been under our noses literally the entire time? But I think the Oilers have been very clear that they intend to keep Brett Kulak on the left side of that third pairing, which, brother, if you just play the imagination game here, it's Ekholm, Bush, Nurse, Walman, Brett Kulak, and Ty Emerson as your third pairing defenseman. And I do think he will start with Darnell Nurse. It's the classic. Tyler Remchuk was just saying it for 30 minutes before this, but Darnell works best with a puck-moving defenseman. We do remember he used to play with Tyson Barrie, some very good hockey we saw from Darnell Nurse there as well. Philip Broberg in the playoffs really elevated the play of Darnell Nurse. He didn't have to worry about being everything. He can just lean on his physical attributes, being a physical guy, being a smart guy. But the thought of laying that out, and I said, on a night like tonight, you're looking at the Oilers decor of what's going on this evening, which might be a factor. Brett, can you pull up the Frank Saravalli tweet here as well? Because he explains how getting a lineup tonight for the Edmonton Oilers was a little bit of a fuck around. That's my words, not Frank. Sounds like the Oilers have some roster constraint issues. Tonight's lineup was an adventure, aka fuck around, and rosters expand after midnight tonight. So Edmonton is on their way to completing a deal to acquiring Walman, but maybe sometime before they can complete/announce it. I laugh because we're looking at a Cam Dineen blue line this evening with Troy Stetcher on the third pair. But when I look at what this back end could look like when fully healthy in the NHL playoffs, I get very excited. Coombsy, what would be an appropriate return for you to be happy? We mentioned there, it's expected to be at least a first rounder. I don't know if it will be another contract going out. There's been so much drama around the Edmonton Oilers. Apparently Victor Arvidsson's just pulling no move clauses out of his ass. Adam Henrique as well. So I'm curious, what do you think would be a fair return that would make you happy as an Oilers fan?
I mean, what would make me happy as an Oilers fan is if they just traded future considerations to get Jake Walman. And they also,
come on, Mike Greer, play ball.
Maybe they get themselves a second-round pick for doing business as well for Jake Walman. I mean, who knows? But if we're talking realistically, it's probably going to be, there's been the speculation already. It's going to involve the first-round pick. I think that would be the 2026 first-round pick. Another prospect that could make sense in a trade like this. I think Matt Savoy would be off the table, given he's an NHL-ready player who's already helping the team or close to helping the team. I think the player that could make sense is defenseman prospect Bo Akey. That's someone they drafted a few years ago and is probably still a couple of years away and probably isn't going to figure into what the Oilers are doing in the next year or two. So might make sense for San Jose, but really hard to say, because if the Oilers are moving a contract back to the Sharks, say is Jeff Skinner or Victor Arvidsson, it's probably not that. But hypothetically, let's say that's what it is, then you're probably looking at giving up a prospect and that first round pick as well in order to offset San Jose taking on the contract.
Once again, the news is very fresh. Everything we are trying to process, just like you in the chat. That's why we do these shows, baby. We can talk it out together. My initial thoughts, right, is like, okay, if it's a first and whatever, a Victor Arvidsson, who gives a shit, whatever. Granted, he has that no move clause, but there's been reports that he's unhappy with the team and his ice time. I also say you're playing in the top 6 and playing like dog shit. You should thank your lucky stars you're still in the top 6, but he's still an Edmonton Oiler as of right now. But if you throw in a Sam O'Reilly or a Bo Akey in that deal, obviously my opinion about it's going to change. But then I sat here for a couple of minutes before the show, and forgive my language again, but sat here and I was just kind of like, fuck it, dude. Like, that was kind of the motto that Jay Downton had earlier today of, you are in win now mode. Yes, prospects important. The Oilers pipeline not looking very good, but when things are spiraling the way that they are for the Edmonton Oilers right now, you have two of the best players on planet Earth. You do whatever you can to improve your team and your chance of winning the Stanley Cup right now. We'll see if I'm still singing that same tune, if there's a couple other things added to this deal as well, so we will find out. But one interesting factor in this as well, Coop, Jake Walman's got another year on his deal at $3.1 million. The San Jose Sharks had already filled up their retained contracts. They already had 2 contracts that they're eating money on, so they couldn't do it again here for the Edmonton Oilers. They will be paying him his full $3.1 million salary for this season and next season as well. And I love this deal when you think of it's like an Ekholm. It's not a simple rental when it will, I think, inevitably be that first-round pick because you're getting him here. You're getting him for another season as well, extending that cup window I was just talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The Oilers don't, I mean, flags fly forever, so it doesn't really matter if you're trading away for rental players and it all works out. But this obviously mitigates the risk that you're getting a guy for at least a year and a half, and then, you know, Jake Walman's a great Oiler for that year and a half, then there you go. That also, and I mean, this is probably a crazy thing to say, given he hasn't even suited up for the Oilers yet. We're way away from this, but Evan Bouchard's going to be a UFA eventually, and maybe they decide they don't want to commit $10 million to Evan Bouchard, and they decide, you know what, we're going to commit X to Jake Walman instead. There's another option of a young puck-moving offense-first defenseman they now have on the roster, so that Evan Bouchard's agent can't be, well, I'm the only guy on this team that can make a fucking pass, so you'd better pay me $10 million.
Evan Bouchard also doesn't gritty, so scoreboard. We'll find out about that. Producer Brett Holden is also here behind the scenes. Clap it up for Brett because he did a fucking bang-up job doing that live. Brett and I are both sitting upstairs in the studio getting prepped for the show, watching a hilarious Yak episode from Barstool Sports. So good. And all of a sudden, I get a FaceTime in the Oilers Nation Everyday group chat from Tyler. The only time the three of us with Liam are ever going to FaceTime is when there's breaking news. Brett looks at my phone. I look at Brett, and we're both like, holy shit, who are we getting? What's going to happen right now? Tyler knows before everybody else, and he goes, boys, Jake Walman, possibly to the Edmonton Oilers. Brett, your initial thoughts, feelings, concerns? As I said, we're allowed to be crazy optimistic right now. Eye in the sky, rainbows, people planning parades. How are you taking this?
Well, it's hectic. I can't tell if my heart is beating super hard because of everything that's going on, or the massive Red Bull that I happened to be chugging before the trade went down. But we were, as soon as it happened, both of us were cheering. Like both of us, we had just read the.
I started gritting literally instantly.
Yeah, 100%. So I love it. I think it's such an under the radar type of guy that you needed, and I think he does the job that you want right now. I'm curious if, just kind of going to what Frank said as well, if the reason why this trade isn't going through is because somebody in the lineup tonight is playing. If it was such a dick around to try and figure out this lineup, and then on top of it, you're going to be trading somebody. You don't want to be going 11-6 when 2 of your defensemen are already sick. You can't throw in Trent Frederick tonight if you make a move. And yes, you have Jeff Skinner in the press box. You could have put him in, but I don't know. I'm curious if that's kind of the wraparound here, is that we need to finish 60 minutes tonight, and then we'll announce it.
Lance Kane puts in a question. This was from earlier. I was starring things while Ty was going, but he said, what's the temperature on Stan Bowman as GM now? I can't answer that. We don't know what the return is, but as of right now, thumbs up, Stan Bowman.
He's made a lot of good additions. Like when you look at them all, it's a lot of solid players like Emberson now, Vasily Podkolzin,
Kasperi Kapanen off the waiver wire. He was good in the time there.
We like the trade from before. Frederick and Jones seem like solid pickups. I mean, it's a string of solid pickups, but I mean, honestly, if they give up a first and a prospect and something else for Walman here, who was traded for future considerations,
You got something for me?
Or? I do. I have something from Ryan Rashaw.
Yeah, here as well. Sounds like it'll be a conditional pick and a prospect for Walman once it gets finalized. Also looking like the Oilers may be taking the full cap hit, confirming the sense we had earlier today that they'd most likely be using the Kane money. Could be a bit before all is sorted. All right, clap it up, boys. That's what we go. Yeah! Come on.
We're celebrating.
I want to gritty again. God damn it. No, you'll get it at the end of the show. Believe me, this exit, I'm just going to throw my laptop and start grittying out of this chair. But conditional pick, reportedly, allegedly from Ryan Rishaug, conditional pick and a prospect for Jake Walman. Boys, this I tell you, right? It's been such a roller coaster, up and down, fluid situation with the Edmonton Oilers and this trade deadline, because it felt like they could go down two paths. One, where Evander Kane plays ball and you're allowed to use that money, cheat the system, just like the Tampa Bay Lightning, just like the Vegas Golden Knights. But the other avenue, which we had reported also from Ryan Rishaug, Brett, I know you're doing a lot. If you can ever bring in that tweet, even if you don't, it's absolutely fine. But he reported that Evander Kane, it's a situation where, where is it here that I have it in front of me? He said that he wants to play regular season games, right? And then he wanted to be a part. Sounds like the word choice was a disagreement between the Edmonton Oilers and Evander Kane. Like to be a fly on the wall during some of those discussions, but that there may have been some setbacks, and that his timeline now is looking more like the NHL playoffs. But for the last several days, it was looking more like going down the avenue. He's not going to play ball. It's his right if he's healthy and he wants to play NHL hockey. I just say, come on, dude, you're in your 30s and you're on a cup contender. Do everything you can for this team. It changed in the last 24 hours. We got a report, I believe it was this morning, from Ryan Rishaug saying this. Now we see the Oilers acquiring Jake Walman. We see here from Rishaug, we expect it to be the full cap hit. So Evander Kane officially playing ball for the Edmonton Oilers?
It's possible. I mean, he did have to submit the 16-team trade preferral list or no trade list, whatever it was. He can pick 16 teams. The other 16 teams the Oilers can trade him to. So, I mean, you can stack that up and pick 16 pretty good teams. But I think looking around the NHL, there's going to be at least a handful of shitty situations that you're going to probably have to include on your list. So maybe the Oilers said, look, you're doing this and you're not coming back to the playoffs, or we're going to trade you to some weird situation. We'll trade you back to San Jose or something like that. I can't imagine San Jose wasn't as approved list, but you know what I'm getting at. So yeah. I don't know if that's actually what went down, but that sounds like a funny story.
Okay, so the Edmonton Oilers done for the trade deadline. We assume that will be the last move or whatnot, because
not much left,
right? You're saying no. The amount of money Puckpedia has, they had $3.7 million in current cap space. Walman, $3.4 million. Sorry, I said 3.1 earlier.
3.4?
$3.4 million cap hit, year 2 of 3. Quick math, that leaves $300,000 still left on the table for the Oilers. Stan Bowman's good. I don't know if he's that good that he can find a sizable piece there with $300,000 to play with, but who knows? That's why you should be tuning in to the Daily Face-Off Trade Deadline show tomorrow, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, to whenever the hell all of the trades stop. Pretty sure I'm not allowed to urinate for at least 5 to 6 hours. So
hey, you were training today.
No water after midnight tonight for Bordzy. We're going dry. We're going dry. Let me do a quick read here for Odd Company Nation Beer Everyday Lager. Perfect for game day, perfect for every day. They are going to bang tomorrow after the NHL trade deadline. And we've been on the air for that long. You can get them 2 locations in the Edmonton area, downtown or Ritchie location, or check liquorconnect.com and find out which local liquor stores are carrying these bad boys. Look at these beautiful cans. Gentlemen, who knows?
Love a beer.
We might dabble into a couple of these. Yeah, everything's been so off. I'm not even pre-gaming right now. Look at that.
Oh, dude. After this show, I already have one open upstairs that I've left.
Because you were in the middle of, taking a nice hour off in the middle of our day. So
those the leftovers from last time?
We got
a fresh batch.
Shout out marketing Maddie, because she came upstairs earlier when I was like, what's in your hands right now? Is that what that sounds like to me? You're damn right it was. Shout out Odd Company Nation Beer Everyday Lager. All right, people, keep throwing in your takes on the trade as well. We'll keep letting you know some information as this moves along. This show is called Pregaming with Bordzy, and there is a hockey game going down tonight as the Edmonton Oilers are hosting the Montreal Canadiens. And the Edmonton Oilers, they're in a funk of all funks. So it's been very few and far between that we've been able to be positive on these shows lately. So I'm really enjoying this Jake Walman optimism right now. But the Oilers have lost 6 of their last 7, 3-7-0 in their last 10, have lost 4 consecutive home games, and have 1 regulation win in their last 11 games. Woof, brother, that is not good. Everything's off right now, right? And this is no news to anybody. They're not defending properly. They're not defending the rush. They're giving over pucks in the most inopportune times you could ever think of. Their forwards not back checking, and then to add on to all of it, the goaltending, subpar. Also tough to judge some of the goaltending with the way this team offense, like forwards and defensemen, have been brutal for the Edmonton Oilers. Lately, the fans are frustrated. I think the Oilers players and management are frustrated, clearly, as they just made a move here to acquire Jake Walman. But the thing is, right, it's dark times right now. Everybody's saying they need to go to the trade deadline and find an answer to fix this team from outside the room. Well, yes, I want all that to happen. I want them to play with Evander Kane's money here. I'm sorry, but the answer is inside of that room. This team is way too good to currently be playing the way that they are. And if any team can handle adversity, brother, it's the Edmonton Oilers. Last season, going 2-9-1 to start the year, firing your head coach. You battle all the way back all season long. You're down 3-2 to the Vancouver Canucks. Even before that, you're throwing in your backup goaltender in that series. Oh, yeah, they also came back from 3-0 to the Florida Panthers to force a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals. I think it's a simple factor of they're in a rut. This is the dog days of the NHL season. Every team is going to have a rut. This one's a little too much for comfort. I can agree with that, but I fully believe that the answer is inside of that room, and that what's the classic line, right? When the going gets tough, the tough get going. I think that's the Oilers through and through. Connor McDavid also like banging in his last game there. I do firmly believe that this team can pull themselves out of this funk. They've done it multiple times before. Coombsy, am I being crazy optimistic still, or are you picking up what I'm laying down?
No, I don't think it's ridiculous to think that. We've seen the Oilers turn on a dime a few times. It was more last year we saw that before the two long winning streaks, the 8 and 16 game winning streaks. They had 3 game losing streaks right before the both of them. And I mean, this stretch they're on right now has been longer and worse than those two little three game losing streaks they had last year. And this has gone on for a little while. Really, the Oilers haven't looked good since January, I don't think. But like you said, it really does come down to just the players in the room doing what they can do. Like, this is the core of the team last year that went to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. There was a lot of turnover in the offseason, but the Oilers brought good players in, and they've had good stretches. They it hasn't just been this rocky road of an entire season where it's win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 2. It's been, the Oilers have had some strong streaks this year, and it's not like that's just disappeared. They just have to find it again.
Yeah, I saw it there from, who was that? Todd put it in the chat. At this point in the season, it comes down to the locker room. I couldn't agree more, brother. But tonight, things ain't going to be very easy, I'll say, on the defensive side of the puck here. The Edmonton Oilers, they've been leaking goals lately, and tonight they will be without their number one defenseman in Mattias Ekholm. And then I joke, kind of, it's a little bit of addition by subtraction that John Klingberg won't be in the lineup tonight as well for the Edmonton Oilers. Mattias Ekholm has been battling an illness for what feels like way too long of a time now at this point. He has not been the same player, especially lately, but I would say the entire season as a whole. We were talking on ONE this week. He had such a bad game Tuesday that we're like, I think he's kind of forced Nobby's hand here that he needs to sit out a game and feel better, reset the body. It's a long NHL season. He was playing over the Four Nations break as well. There's the news from Bob Stauffer. Both not available, and that means one Cam Dineen, also Troy Stetcher, will be in the lineup in replace of Mattias Ekholm. But Cam Dineen comes in for John Klingberg. That's right. It's Dineen season, baby. Now, it was reported that Klingberg was dealing with a minor injury. Now that I see the trade and the Frank Saravalli thing about the lineup, my bullshit detector is going a little bit off right now, but either way, who cares? I can also say with John Klingberg, straight ass lately, brother, straight ass. But Cam Dineen will play his first NHL game. He's 26 years old, 5'11", 180 pounds. He's got 5 goals, 29 points in 45 games played in the AHL this season. Who knows how much he's going to play, right? He's a third-pairing defenseman who also knows where he's going to play, because it's Chris Knobloch behind the bench, but Paul Coffey as well. We know Dineen's strengths. He's a smaller guy, moves the puck well, not going to be incredibly physical. That's kind of his forte. What are your expectations for Cam Dineen? And I guess other than that, where's your confidence level without Mattias Ekholm in the lineup tonight?
No, confidence level is somewhat low. I think John Klingberg is out of the lineup with an illness, and that illness is traded to the Sharks-itis.
You and Vinny D both, brother. Get in line.
Hey, keep him out of this.
Vinny D got traded to the San Jose Sharks yesterday.
Yeah, they're loading up, man. They're gonna have Vinny D and John Klingberg. Damn. My expectations for Cam Dineen are that I don't expect to see him on the ice too much. I expect to see him and Troy.
9 minutes.
Yeah, him and Troy Stetcher. Stetcher probably plays like 12 minutes. Dineen probably plays like 8. This is, I guess, this is something for the Oilers. They acquired Dineen in that trade they made a few years ago with it was Nick Bjugstad also coming to Edmonton and Mike Kesselring going to Arizona.
Jugs.
Yeah, but Bjugstad coming back here. Kesselring's become quite good in Arizona, so maybe Cam Dineen can become that player here.
We'll ship him out and then he'll find his way. But as I said, his first NHL game, I do believe. So hopefully he gets a lap. He's on home ice. Enjoy it, Cam Dineen, because if Jake Walman's coming to the squad, I can't expect you to be playing up with the big club
It's your one chance to watch Cam Dineen.
Are you sure?
Yeah, shit. Knock on wood.
Yeah, things can go really sideways, man.
Why did I say that?
What if he's like the next, I don't know, Chris Pronger?
Hey, well, I mean, he's what, 5'10"? I said, and 180 pounds. But 5'11" and 180 pounds.
5'10" on Tinder works, baby.
So
it don't
basically
matter.
6 feet if you're 5'11", 6 feet on Tinder, as Brett says, as I say as well. Let's call a spade a spade.
I'm probably 5'11" in these shoes.
Oh, there you go. Attaboy. The other part of this, Brett just stood up behind the camera. Boys are fired up for Jake Walman. Gritty once again here. But the Montreal Canadiens, they're also what's going to make this a tough matchup tonight because, shocking, I know, they are winners of 5 straight hockey games and they're undefeated coming out of the Four Nations break 5-0. They're going up. The Edmonton Oilers going down. So what happens tonight? Whoop! Everything goes the other way. The Oilers go up. The Canadiens go down. But over that 5-game stretch, they've outscored their opponents 21-10 and are suddenly in the midst of the Eastern playoff race. They're 2 points back of Ottawa for the last wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. The New Jersey Devils, they're in that battle as well. They just lost Jack Hughes for the entire season. So who knows what's going to be happening there. Could be primed for a run. They're heating up right now. Sam Montembeault was the third goalie for Team Canada at the Four Nations. He didn't get to play. There you get a look. So the Montreal Canadiens have 65 points, but there is a couple of teams in that little spot there after the Senators and between the Canadiens. So it's going to get interesting here. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty of the season where they start putting games remaining instead of games played. That's when you know. That's when you know when you look at the graphics. But Sam Montembeault, like I said, he didn't play. Got to watch greatness in one Jordan Binnington for those 4 games, but he has been kind of exactly that. He's been great since returning from the Four Nations. He's 4-0, won all 4 of his starts. One of them was a shutout. Kind of feels like everything is clicking right now. Nick Suzuki has 13 points in his last 5 games. In the Oilers' last 5 games, they have 12 goals in general of the entire. I did a heart there. I don't really know what I did. Jake Walman, this is for you. Boom. Are we seeing the Montreal Canadiens kind of come into their own right now, or is this a little bit of a blip on the radar? Because they've been a team rebuilding for a very long time now, what feels like. This is when you'd expect to see that kind of rush into the playoffs. They're also dealt some really shitty injury luck with Kirby Dach as well. But Montreal Canadiens, they're hot right now. The Oilers, ice cold.
Yeah, this is not really ideal to have a team. No. This is when you look at the matchup, it's one team this is what we hope would happen to the Oilers when they came out of the Four Nations break. Basically, we were thinking, Connor McDavid scored that overtime goal. The excitement is going to rush into the locker room and the Oilers are going to fly out of the gates. That's what we all hope for. That obviously didn't happen. The exact opposite has happened. But with Montreal, it seems like inexplicably that has happened. And largely it's because of players that were left off of their rosters for that tournament. They only sent 3 players, and it was Patrick Laine and Joel Armia playing for Finland, and then Sam Montembeault, like you said, was a third stringer in Canada, and he didn't suit up at all. But Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield are the 2 guys that have just gone absolutely nuclear since coming back. I think Caulfield was probably one of the biggest snubs in the tournament, all told, not making Team USA over some of those veterans they had in their bottom 6. I thought Cole Caulfield probably could have been on the team, but he has 5 goals since getting back in those 5 games. And then Nick Suzuki, like you said, 13 points since he got back. Suzuki was an interesting case as well because
he was on the bubble for Team Canada.
Yeah, he was talked about as being on the bubble, but then apparently he didn't even get a phone call to say that he had been left off the roster. Like there was players that were supposedly close, like the Zach Hymans, Evan Bouchards of the world, got said, hey, you're not going to make our roster. But the story that I heard was that Nick Suzuki didn't even get a phone call, so they basically just gave him a fuck you. So I would imagine that that kind of fired him up a little bit.
He's playing angry. He's playing motivated, scorned. I like that. Well, I don't like that this evening.
I don't love it, but
yeah, I mean, shout out Nick Suzuki. He's a good guy and the captain of the Canadiens. And to be the captain of Montreal, you got to do so much extra. You got to learn another language, brother. You straight up got to learn a second language. I would never do that.
Learn Chinese, brother.
Shanghai Sharks, bro, go play for
Ni hao. Ni hao.
All right. Let's go now. We got to go quick because we've already spent 35 minutes talking trades and then a little bit of there. Once again, is a pregame show. If we get any late breaking news here on the Jake Walman deal, we will let you know. And then remember, we're live here for Oilers Nation After Dark as well. So hopefully we're talking about a win, but if it doesn't go that way, we can talk trades, and it's going to be fantastic as well. You need to know information brought to you by Will Hawk Beef Jerky, because only the finest tasting meat products are in the Will Hawk name. Made from 100% pure Alberta beef, their jerky is aged, seasoned, smoked, marinated to savory perfection. They gladly fill orders of any size. You can find their jerky, sausage, and other products exclusively out of their Leduc location. And for more information, head to willhawkbeefjerky.com. Intern Peyton sitting over in the corner. He giggles every single time I do that ad read. Could do it blindfolded, could do it asleep, could do that. Will Hawk, I love you so much, but you need to know information. Bert, can you pull up the Western Conference standings for me here, just for a little visualizer? Because it's standings watch time. Da-na-na, da-na-na. The Edmonton Oilers' dream of a Pacific Division title, well, it's slipping, because they are now 6 points back of the Vegas Golden Knights, each with 61 games played. Vegas beat Toronto 5-2 last night, but Matthew Nyes also beat up Zach Whitecloud, so that was a positive in there as well. In good news, the LA Kings lost in overtime last night, 3-2 to the Blues, so they now sit 3 points back of the Oilers with only now one game in hand. So second place feeling a little bit better, but who knows? We've also got some lineup notes here from one Tony Brar. News being, like I said earlier, Cam Dineen is expected to make his Edmonton Oilers debut, and Ekholm Klingberg going to be out. And then it's Max Jones making his Oilers debut on the fourth line with Kasperi Kapanen and Corey Perry. He comes in for Jeff Skinner. Sorry, Jeff. I don't even know what to tell you anymore. We'll talk about him in a minute, because if I was him, I'd ask to be traded at the NHL trade deadline, because with some of the guys coming back, you got Frederick, you got Kane, you got Max Jones now in here. I just don't see how Jeff Skinner is ever going to get some meaningful minutes. And as well, Stuart Skinner expected to get the start. There you see it. Shout out to TB, great Oiler, also former Nate TV broadcasting graduate. Respect.
Yeah, him, me, and Brendan Escott, who's getting married this weekend, all used to do the Ooks broadcast as well.
Why would he choose this weekend to get married?
Good question. You're telling me.
Fair point. Connor McDavid against the Habs, only 32 points in 26 games. Kind of crazy there. And Leon, 33 points in 27 games. And as I said, Stu gets the start. The Canadiens, 30, 26, and 5 record, 5th in the Atlantic, 21st in the entire NHL. But as I said, only 2 points back of a playoff spot. They've won 5 in a row. Started back on February 22nd when we were live for Brunch for Ben. 5-2 win over Ottawa. 4-0 over the Hurricanes. Montembeault pitched a shutout in that one. 4-3 in OT over the Sharks. 4-2 over the Sabres. 4-3 over the Sabres in OT. So it's 5 games in a row. Not the toughest competition you'll ever see, but I mean, the Edmonton Oilers can't beat anyone right now, so we'll see how that goes. I mentioned it. Nick Suzuki, he's leading the team in points. Cole Caulfield, 30 goals on the season. Did you see his overtime winner that he scored like about a week ago? He dangled through the entire team and roofed one 6-celly in the Bell Center. It was absolutely electric. I mentioned Habs. They're winning right now, but their injury luck, it's not going well. They lost Kirby Dach for the remainder of the season recently, undergoing knee surgery. That's his second major knee surgery in the last 2 years, because he tore his ACL and MCL in game 2 of the season last year. All they've said is knee surgery, lower body, from what I read. And because they haven't gone out of their way to specify that it's not his ACL and MCL again, I worry that that's a re-tear. But once again, who knows? I'm just speculating. Sam Montembeault getting the start. 2.90 goals against with an .899 save percentage. Let's go now to our Sherwood Ford Giant storyline. Hockey fans helping hockey fans. Free valet service for all Oilers Nation fans. Never visit the dealership again for car service. And you could get an exclusive swag package with every Nation valet service booked online and be automatically entered a monthly prize draw. Book online at sherwoodford.ca. Add Oilers Nation Valet in the pickup comments. Come on, Oilers Nation fans. Your hockey destination is Sherwood Ford. So my storyline in this one, now that I'm all excited and all I can think about is Jake Walman, defense from the Edmonton Oilers, and not just defensemen, forwards as well. Zach Hyman had some quotes earlier today or yesterday talking about, dude, team defense has been brutal, but he emphasized team defense. We saw it. Granted, we didn't go through the scoring summary on After Dark. Tammy came in and said, Bordzy, I'll donate $50 if you skip the scoring summary right now. And I went, time out?
Good.
All right, I'll do it. Fuck it. She did it. We didn't have to relive any of that, but a number of those goals, Leon Draisaitl on the Strome one, didn't take not a hard stride, a single stride from center ice on. It was absolutely
load management.
Insane to watch. I mean, it was 4-1 at that point, but you get a goal. The Edmonton Oilers, they're in that hockey game. So
that game was over as soon as San Jose tied it 1-1.
And then you mentioned it, right? Like with defense, goaltending needs to be better. Stuart Skinner needs to be better. But this team's been dreadful defensively in front of either one of them. It's the classic situation of help me, help you. We got to give and we got to take. Your defense, you got to make an effort, get physical in front of the net. I'm pretty sure the Habs are 30th or 31st in the NHL in shots per game. Limit them to the outside. Clear the dirty areas in front of the net. I know how simple that sounds, but it's not that simple, especially when you don't have Matthias Ekholm in the lineup tonight. Hopefully Brett Kulak
that
is
reminds
another.
me of Moneyball. It's incredibly hard.
Don't make me point at Pete again. Do you have a storyline out here as well? I had my key to victory. Yes. Just win the hockey game.
Yeah, that's definitely a key. Yeah,
I'm out of just do it. They know what to do. Just do it.
I think my storyline in this one is, given that the Oilers just acquired Jake Walman, or that they're going to acquire Jake Walman in 4 hours or whatever it is, that Evan Bouchard's got to come out and have himself a good game or two here. He's been one of the players who's been very cold. I mean, it hasn't just been the depth players in the lineup that have been playing poorly during this bad stretch. It's been Connor McDavid, it's been Matthias Ekholm, it's been Evan Bouchard, key players they usually lean on. So for Evan Bouchard's case, this is the Oilers have gone in and acquired another puck-moving defenseman who's somewhat similar to you. So, I mean, if you continue to not play well and Jake Walman comes in and plays very well, then maybe he plays more minutes than you do.
Hands are tied. I also got some news on Evan Bouchard as well. Reason why he might start playing better, but let's get into it here with the Oilers lineup. Throw it up for me, Bert, because the projected lineup this evening, it's again projected, RNH with McDavid and Zachary Martin Hyman. Second line, Vasily Podkolzin with Leon and Victor Arvidsson. Then it's Matthias Janmark with Adam Henrique and Connor Brown. Your fourth line, Max Jones, debut for the Edmonton Oilers, and Kasperi Kapanen playing 4C.
Maximum Jones.
Ryan Jones vibes, anybody? As soon as I saw Jones in there, I was like, ooh.
Mike Jones.
There was never
Nice. I mean, with two guys that would get that reference. Shout out. Then fourth line winger Corey Perry. Now, once again, I don't know. We can I guess that's what we're rolling with is Darnell Nurse and Troy Stetcher on the top pair. Brett Kulak with Evan Bouchard on the second pair. Cam Dineen with Ty Emerson. Brett, this was something we talked about of how spreading the wealth, the thought of putting Cam Dineen and Troy Stetcher on the ice together for a third pairing. I know they play probably very little amount of minutes, but that absolutely terrifies me, especially with Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, maybe getting some shifts out there against them. But I like that they spread the wealth here. Nurse has played with Stetcher several times so far since Stetcher was acquired last season. Kulak with Bush have played a fair amount. I'd be curious if that would end up being the pair that plays the most this evening, and then Cam Dineen and Ty Emerson. We got to go kind of quickish here.
Sure.
The thoughts on that alignment for the 6D men?
I think that's honestly the best you can do. The Oilers aren't in a great spot right now, but they've moved things around where it's kind of, I mean, Nurse is going to carry Stetcher a little bit out there. You're probably leaning on Emerson to carry Dineen a little bit. That's a pretty big opportunity for Dineen there, or for Emerson there. They're saying you can carry the random AHL call up around.
Gotta believe, baby. You gotta believe. The other thing, Max Jones making his Oilers debut, wearing number 46. I already asked Brett this question, but I'm curious to you. Do you know the last Edmonton Oiler to wear number 46?
Did Theo Peckham wear 46?
No.
49.
Ty Emerson, shout out.
Oh,
Who's 46?
Pontus Aberg
Oh, wow.
would be the last one. Before that, my guess was Zach Stortini, and that was also Brett's as well, was the second last Oiler to wear it. Yanni Rita, and then Todd Reardon as well.
He played 18 games as an Edmonton Oiler, so I wouldn't blame you for not remembering that.
Well, this will be Max Jones' 8th game of the NHL season this year. He still doesn't have a single point, averaging less than double digits of ice time in every game. I mentioned Slaughter to play on the fourth line. He's going to bring grit. He's going to bring sandpaper, and he should make the Edmonton Oilers a tougher team to play against, right? He doesn't have a point yet, like I mentioned, but he has 13 goals and 21 points in 38 games in the AHL. Don't expect him to see a ton, but he should be jacked up. Do you have the tweet here from Mark Spector? Because there's two interesting points in this. Max Jones speaks to hockey culture, history, and fan enthusiasm in Edmonton. I'm just honored to be a part of it, and you got to think he'll be fired up on home ice here in Edmonton in front of the Oilers faithful. It'll be nice. But then here's the part I wanted to bring up about Evan Bouchard. We've talked recently. Zach brought it up on Tuesday. It's been reported that Evan Bouchard, the Oilers traded all of his friends in Ryan McLeod, Warren Fogle, Dylan Holloway, the kind of younger group of the Edmonton Oilers. Hey, locker room, shocker, they can be cliquey at points. And I guess he's maybe, once again, rumors, allegedly, but he struggled with a bit of it. And you got a quote here from Max Jones about being friends and playing with Bouchard. We were really, really close. 2 reallys, won a Memorial Cup together. Maybe that will help Evan Bouchard going out for steaks and drinks with an old pal in one Max Jones. But
Going golfing?
if they give me another Instagram live, I'm so down. Sign Max Jones for as long as I need. But thoughts, Max Jones, expectations?
I mean, he was a player who was a first-round draft pick in 2016, and I mean,
13 goals in the AHL. I've never seen him really play. I'll be real here, but it sounds like he has some offensive touch as well.
Yeah, once upon a time, he was a top prospect, first-round pick, played for the U.S. and the World Juniors. That year it was in Buffalo, 2018, I think it was. Won the Mem Cup with London Knights, was a good OHL player, and then looked like he was getting off to a solid start to his NHL career, and then had some injury issues. That was sort of the challenge with his game, really physical player skating around, getting into it, and his body just had the wear and tear. The Ducks decided when he was an RFA this past off season, let's not tender him a qualifying offer, let him go. The Bruins gave him 2 years, and he made the team out of training camp, but then cleared through waivers in early November and has been a solid player for their AHL team since. I think for the Oilers, the contingency here is that Max Jones is signed for 2 years. Trent Frederick's a free agent at the end of this season. So if they're skeptical they can't re-sign Frederick, at least you have Max Jones going into next year as well.
The ultimate check down. The ultimate shutdown. You can't get Trent Frederick. You stick with Max Jones. And then Jake Walman, as reported earlier, if you're just joining us and you see the title, the Edmonton Oilers reportedly acquiring Jake Walman, who has another year left on his deal as well. So I do like some of these moves from the Edmonton Oilers. The other one I got for you, what are the odds Jeff Skinner gets traded tomorrow? I mentioned it there off the top because if I'm Jeff Skinner, I am waiving my no-move clause. For the reasons I said, Evander Kane's going to come back. Trent Frederick's going to come back. He's already not getting minutes and being health bombed up in the press box because of Max Jones. I just do not see a path where Jeff Skinner finds a way to turn this around. We saw him being health bombed for Matt Savoy, who now is sent down to Bakersfield and spent games up in the press box. Very weird situation so far while the Condors were competing for a playoff spot, but I get it why Jeff Skinner's not in the lineup. You can't really fit him in any of those top 6 spots. But the irony kind of is, right, the Oilers can't score goals right now. What can Jeff Skinner do, and what has he done? Pretty consistently when given the minutes, limited ice time, whatever. But he's got the ability to score some goals. Brett, we talked about a team being the Carolina Hurricanes. Anyone? Reunion in a playoff spot could still get his dream of playing a playoff game. And he's got an easy 1 year, $3 million deal. Like, that's not a lot to eat. Could we see Jeff Skinner dealt tomorrow?
It's certainly possible. I mean, from his perspective with the no movement clause, the comment there, no, he doesn't want to get traded. Well, I mean, I don't know, Jeff, if you're only going to...
Why do you want to stay? You're not going to play.
Why do you want to... If you're going to go into the offseason with 11 goals and 21 points in 53 games, you're probably not going to sign a good contract in the summer with anybody. So, I mean, Jeff Skinner could probably rebuild his value somewhere else if he's actually playing, but I don't know if it's going to happen. He does seem to want to get into the playoffs here, does seem to want to be a part of it, but... If you're looking towards the future, you're looking towards July 1 and what that's going to look like for you, then I don't think Jeff Skinner being the 14th forward or 13th forward on Edmonton's going to help him much.
Our feet just touched.
They've been touching for about 15 seconds.
They've been.
What?
You weren't moving at all. You were.
I was so
Oh my
comfortable.
God.
I was like, wow, what is that?
I almost put the camera right down there just so everyone
You
can
wanna
see
get a
what
feed
I-
You
cam
got to pay
going?
extra for feet
Foot cam,
here on
foot
Pregame.
Yeah, if someone does another $50 donation,
If you do
we'll
$50, I'll show you a toe.
We'll put it all. We'll do a lower half camera only.
Feet are disgusting. I don't want to show my feet. Feet are just, they gross me out. My own feet gross me out. Your feet are going to gross me out. Everybody's feet going to gross me out. Let's now talk. Well, I guess instead, we've already covered the Oil Acquire Walman, so we're going to pretend. Starting goaltender report brought to you by Sherwood Power Sports and Marine, home of the $50 bi-weekly ATV, or be in a boat next summer for as low as $105 bi-weekly. Hockey fans, helping hockey fans with motorcycles, quads, e-bikes, boats, and scoots. That's scooters for you who speak English out there. The game tonight. Oh, that's scoot. Skinner, Stuart Skinner getting the start. He did not get the start Tuesday against the Anaheim Ducks. He still had to play 2 periods of that hockey game because Calvin Pickard was yanked after the first, allowing 4 goals on 11 shots. The plan was to have him sit and rest in that game, which would be, that was the first time since the NHL playoffs where Calvin Pickard got consecutive starts. And I think the idea here was to let Stuart Skinner sit for 7 full days without playing, reset your brain, which is very shitty to have to do after you just had 2 weeks for the 4 Nations break as well. But we are where we are. There you get a look at both Calvin Pickard and Stuart Skinner's numbers. Both sub 900, but Stewie's 2015 and 4, 287 goals against, 897. Incredibly similar numbers to the other guy in Sam Montembeault that we're playing against, and he made Team Canada. He also gets
Spider-Man meme.
He also gets paid slightly more than Stuart Skinner out there, so complain about that if you want. We remember how well Stu played after the NHL playoffs there when he got benched in favor of Calvin Pickard. This is all hope. This is all optimism. This show sponsored by Optimism today, but hopefully this can be a reset for Stu. He can go back out there. And I mentioned Montreal 30th or 31st in the NHL in shots per game. Confidence level in Stuart Skinner, because I'll be honest with you, I've been a staunch Stu supporter lately. It's been dwindling. Hope will never die, but it has been dwindling.
Yeah, it's not particularly high right now, largely because they're not icing the best version of the blue line right now. I don't really feel good. Yeah. There's only been a handful of times we've watched the Oilers play without Matthias Ekholm since they made that trade about 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago, right? Yeah, 2 years ago, 2023. It's only been a couple of times they've been in the lineup since, and it's never looked good. So, I mean, Montreal's red hot coming into this game. Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield are on fire. So I'm a little nervous about the defensive aspect of this game. My confidence, I'd say, is about a 1 out of 10.
Brett, confidence level 1 out of 10. Give me a Dave Portnoy. Give me the decimal. In Stuart Skinner.
In Stuart Skinner? Oh,
I hate that tone.
I know, because I've been very positive about him recently. 7.4.
Oh.
7.4,
like his jersey number.
Like his jersey number.
Exactly.
Shout out Brett. I like that. Sam Montembeault, the guy on the other side. I said red hot since the 4 Nations. 4-0, has a shutout in that stretch, has above a 900, and 3 of those 4, the one he didn't, just below 900 as well. So a hot Sam Montembeault does make me a little nervous. Let's go now to the away lineup, the Canadiens. I've said it so many times like that tonight. Feeling very cultured out here.
You're doing the Italian hand.
That's Italian, though, so I'm all over the place.
Tabernac.
The Montreal Canadiens.
Montreal.
2100 is going to feel like 21,000.
Brought to you by Greta Bar. Shout out them, my favorite spot in the city, arcade bar, street food. We're going to be there this upcoming Friday. Coombsy, not tomorrow, the next one, March 17th, Coombsy, or March 14th? March 14th. Coombsy, you're going to be with me for this entire thing. You're pre-gaming and post-gaming with me for this event. But people, I've said it a lot. It's Flight Night at Greta, presented by Fountain Tire and in support of the Ben Stelter Foundation. Let me spell it out for you. You go to nationgear.ca. You buy yourself a $10 ticket. You then come down to Greta. You crush beers with me and Coombe and producer Brett. It's actually this very show that's going to be doing this one, so shout out to that. That's a good vibes crew. You go there. We have a little raffle draw, and you could get entered into Oilers Nation trivia contest. And the winner of the trivia contest is going to walk out of Greta with 2 tickets, not 1, 2 tickets for you and a guest to come on the Nation vacation simply for getting a $10 ticket in support of the Ben Stelter Foundation. crushing beers with Coombsy and I, having a great time watching Edmonton take on New York. I said on the last one, but if that doesn't sound like fun to you, I don't want you to come on this trip. I only want people that are going, damn, Bordzy, good sell job. And you can bet your ass that they're going to be out at Greta Bar this next Friday, not tomorrow, next Friday, March 14th. Hit it for me now, Bert. Projected Montreal lineup. It is one Cole Caulfield with Nick Suzuki and Uri Slavkovsky. Alex Newhook with Owen Beck and Patrick Laine. Put down the Fortnite for a minute. Brendan Gallagher with Christian Dvorak and Josh Anderson. Emil Heineman with Jake Evans and Joel Armia. I made everybody in the room laugh with that one, so I felt good about that. Mike Matheson on the D pairings with Alex Carrier. Jaden Struble with Lane Hudson. And Arbor Jackeye with David Savard. We got to go quick. Pick me one player to watch over this entire squad tonight.
Mike Matheson, the defenseman, is I didn't realize he was as good as he is. He logs a ton of minutes, puts up a bunch of points. I thought he was, the Florida Panthers were wanting to get rid of him. The Pittsburgh Penguins wanted to get rid of him. And now he's in Montreal. And he's pretty good.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm just simply going to go with Cole Caulfield because he can put the puck in the back of the net from literally everywhere. His shot is so filthy. If you haven't seen his overtime game winner, I really recommend you when the show ends, go YouTube that because it was fucking insane. Excuse my language there, but Cole Caulfield for me. I mentioned they don't have Kirby Dach in this lineup as he is now injured, and Nick Suzuki, he's red hot right now. But people, you know what time it is. It's time for Bordzy's Bankroll, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner. Every face-off, hat-trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, and every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, never ordinary at Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Download the app today. Use the code NATION. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. The bankroll went 3 for 3 on Tuesday night. The Edmonton Oilers sucked. Bordzy didn't, and hopefully we can let it ride again. Hit it for me, Bert. Your first option, McDavid over 1.5 points. He's on the quietest 5-game point streak of anyone in the NHL. I had to look it up today, and I went, really?
I didn't realize.
I've been watching every single game, and I went, really? He's got 6 points in his last 5 games, but he looked like himself against the Anaheim Ducks. He was shot out of a cannon, had the boots moving, but was also able to handle the puck, which has been an issue lately, right? The wheels have been moving, but the puck's been bouncing all over the place, hoping he continues that. The next one, Darnell Nurse, over 1.5 shots on goal, minus 190. So I'm just looking for 2. I kind of lowered it a bit. Now I did this before I saw that Darnell Nurse was projected to be the top pairing guy tonight, so I feel good about that. He's hit this line in 3 of his last 4 games. Darnell's always joining up in the rush. I'm expecting him to have more of a bigger role in this one without Matthias Ekholm, so we're riding with Darnell. And then the other one, the Boosh Bomb, over 2.5 shots on goal. He has hit this in 4 of his last 5. He's hit this in over 50% of his games this season. So more often than not, you are profiting off of this. I say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He's been ripping the puck lately. Once again, no Ekholm, no Klingberg out there. I'm expecting more offense to have to run through Darnell Nurse specifically and Evan Bouchard. Coombsy, look at these 3 bets. Which one of them do you like the most?
I like the McDavid one. I think
yeah,
what you
right.
said is
it's
right.
Simple.
Yeah, he was flying around in that game against Anaheim, which not many other guys were. The team looked quite bad, but Connor McDavid looked somewhat closer to himself in that game. So I think that's your thumbs up.
Bert, you got a creepy crawly 8-legged something over there? Bort, you got any more Bort license plates as well?
You got a Bort license plate over there?
My son is also named Bort.
Do you think I had the time to make one today?
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay,
but I do.
Busy Brett.
If Edmonton wants to win tonight, I think 97 needs to kind of not take over, but kind of play similar to what he did against Anaheim there. So I'm going with 97.
I'm
Los
pretty
Angeles
sure.
Ducks of Anaheim.
I'm pretty sure all 3 of these parlayed together when I did it earlier today, plus 450. So you do that, and you do so responsibly, I should say. Only bet what you're willing to lose, and only do it if you're above 19 years of age. Also, Bosch is in, says no 29 bet, ? Seems foolish. He's an L word. I'm not saying the L word. But that was it. That was the other one I was thinking about. And now that he says that, honorable mention, Leon Anytime, a goal scorer. Boys?
Is that what the L word was, Leon?
Yeah, absolutely. League leading Leon. Boom! Boom! Bang! Bang! Let's go around the room. Scores! Let's go around the room finally. Everybody give a score prediction. Anytime goal scorer. Coombsy, go first.
5-4 Oilers, Connor McDavid, anytime goal.
That's too close for comfort. I'm gonna be so stressed out. Brett, what about you?
6-3 and Cam Deneen.
Hell yeah!
Let's ride, brother. A little sprinkle on that one, a little Salt Bay, if you will. I'm gonna say 5-3 for the Edmonton Oilers. Stu allows 3. One of them might be a stinker. Canadiens been playing well lately, but Connor McDavid says, team, hop on my back. I'm shooting for 2 points. I'm looking for more than that. You can do so at Bet365. I love you all. I appreciate all of you. Once again, Jake Walman reportedly acquired from the San Jose Sharks to the Edmonton Oilers. We don't fully know what the return is, but we expect it to be a first rounder and a prospect involved with the Oilers taking on his full salary, meaning Evander Kane, you're playing ball. You're one of the boys, baby. And I hope to see you back for just the NHL playoffs. Maybe a conditioning stint in Bakersfield. Who knows? I appreciate you all. Throw down your courtesy like. If you like Jake Walman, if you like Grittian, throw your like down as well. I appreciate you all. Shouts out to our sponsors, Sherwood Ford the Giant, Sherwood Power Sports and Marine, Greta Bar Yag, Bet365, Willock Beef Jerky. Come to Greta for flight night and tune in to the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel tomorrow. If you like this trade talk, we got 5 to 6 straight hours of it tomorrow, nonstop, starting at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So tune in to that one. I love you all. Over and out. And on my way out, Brett, should I gritty?
Yeah, do it.
Should I gritty?
You gotta do it.
Peace out.